This is the scene of one of the most gruesome incidents in the history of mankind. The only evidence as to just how wrong things went is a trail of blood leading to an open hatch and a human liver slowly cooling in the morning air. This is the story of the Byford Dolphin Incident. Welcome to a series that I'm calling Scientifically Interesting Ways to Die, and fair warning, this one is kind of gruesome. To work deep beneath the ocean, saturation divers live in high-pressure habitats for weeks at a time, commuting to the seabed in pressurized diving bells to avoid decompression sickness. In 1983, in the middle of the icy North Sea, Bjorn Bergensen and Truls Helvik ascended from the ocean floor to the Byford Dolphin rig, where relief divers Edwin Coward and Roy Lucas rested in their habitat, pressurized to 9 times surface pressure. Assisted by 2 tenders, William Crammond and Martin Saunders, normal procedure would see the divers pressurize the trunk before opening the hatches and climbing through. Then the divers would seal the hatches behind them, depressurize the trunk, and remove the diving bell. On that particular morning, however, as Helvik went to seal the inner hatch, either the clamp failed or a valve was opened too early, and in an instant 9 atmospheres of pressure would explode through the narrow gap remaining in the doorway. Saunders, the furthest away, was caught in the shockwave and thrown violently against the deck, suffering lung trauma and internal bleeding that would take him a month in hospital to recover from. Everyone else's fate was much worse. Crammond was struck by the 9,000 kilogram diving bell as it blasted off like a missile, crushing his chest, rupturing his organs, and killing him on impact. For the 3 divers far from the chamber door, the sudden drop from 9 atmospheres to 1 caused dissolved gases to erupt from their blood, boiling it instantly, breaking the lipoproteins that usually keep fat dissolved and pulling that fat out of the blood supply like an instantaneous body-wide blood clot. Autopsies found their hearts and lungs filled with fat, but mercifully their death was instant. Helvik's fate was much worse. The 9 atmospheres of pressure that had once surrounded him now only existed behind him, his body the final barrier between that explosive force and a few inch-wide gap to the outside world. In an instant, the force of air bisected his torso, ejecting his internal organs, spine, and ribs out through the hatch, before his body was folded in half backwards and was sucked into the trunk compartment. This devastating trauma, over in a 1/5 of a second, left behind it a human liver cooling in the early morning air and triggered the call for global safety regulations to prevent such catastrophic decompression from ever happening again. That is, unless you're a billionaire with a submarine and a Logitech controller. If you like science and now appreciate why dogs are so scared of vacuums, follow for more.